It may be New York Comic-Con week, or maybe that was last week, but we're talking San Diego Comic-Con monster figures and unreleased figures. If you're a collector, what are you doing not watching? Let's get into it. It's sold separately. Welcome to the show, as always. My esteemed co-host, head of opinions from Philadelphia, Anthony Ricciardi.
How you doing, Clark and everybody? This is the figures that we're going to be covering in this episode are first time figures ever or first versions of a particular figure. So we have a stacked roster and it's time to get into it.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about The Rock. It's not the first boss. It's not the second boss. It's the final boss. The Rock. We've got the $500 shirt knockoff, as I like to call it. And I'm not trying to mock The Rock, but it does crack me up. This is just a callback to past Rock, but I love The Rock, and this is such a great figure. I was so stoked to see this. What were your thoughts on it, Anthony?
Obviously, this past WrestleMania, we have seen the best version of The Rock of all time, which is the final boss. The Rock's best version of himself is always a heel. That's his best version. In all seriousness, it brings out the best in him. So the final boss in figure form is going to be awesome. I do think at some point down the road, we're probably going to see the Elvis WrestleMania 40 gear, probably on probably an Ultimate. But for the first version of a Mattel, from the 3D images, it looks like it's on the right track.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all over it. You've got the new tattoos and everything. I still can't believe he covered up the Brahma Bowl. That was iconic.
That was a mistake in my
opinion. What was he thinking?
Yeah.
Why did he decide to cover that one?
Yeah, that was a mistake in my opinion.
Either way, you could have tattooed around it, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to knock The Rock for that. But I am excited about the figure, to say the absolute least. This next one, though, before I get there, I got to tell a funny story.
Okay.
So one time I stayed up deep into the night with a good friend of ours, Ben Allison, to watch a guy have a retirement match in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Last name Muta. All of that, right? And I'm looking at him like, isn't that the great Muta? Isn't that the great Muta? He's like, no, I don't think so. Different guy. Like, I'm pretty confident this is a little bit like a Faces of Foley situation. And it was 2 a.m. my time.
Yes.
I think it's the only time I've ever gotten Ben Allison on anything ever. He looked at me and he's like, Clark, I'm really embarrassed that I didn't know this, but yes, they are very much the same person. This great Muta figure, though, is really cool to see. And I love the idea that he's a Hall of Famer and that he's in. And I'm excited that they delivered it at San Diego Comic-Con. What were your thoughts on it, Anthony?
It is awesome that we're getting a Muta figure. I do have one Muta figure in my collection, but because none of the American companies ever really made him, it's a figure from Japan. But it doesn't surprise me that we're getting a Muta figure, because obviously when he went in the Hall of Fame, typically what WWE does, they sign people to deals to make merchandise and stuff like that. I am a little surprised it's taken this long since he went in well over a year ago. And as we saw ourselves, Clark, at the Superstore during WrestleMania 39, they had his last match gear on display. Now, this is obviously early Muta. They've shown at least they've shown these two, and I believe one other of Muta figures that are coming out. But I'm sure we're going to see older Muta probably at some point too, would be my guess. But these are great versions. They both have the misspit, which I think is great. Which oddly, I don't know if they've ever did that with an Asuka, which is a little surprising, because you would think they would have done
Tajiri for that matter.
Tajiri, yeah. Although I don't think Mattel made any Tajiris, because I think he was well gone by that point. It would just been Jax.
Right, but either way, I don't think I've actually ever seen it executed in figure form.
Yes. So I mean, yeah, it's a great figure. Anybody that's a big fan of Muta, this is iconic, without a doubt.
No question. Now let's talk
Hmm.
about Hack.
Yes.
Hack is in the building. Who saw this one coming? You get barbed wire and you get, I believe we're still talking Singapore cane. Talk to me about this one, Anthony.
Yeah, this one is I don't recall WCW ever making it. It is the Sandman for anybody that
It
doesn't
is.
know.
Yeah. Sorry,
But
by
but
the
but
way.
but but
Philly,
in
Philly
but in
reference.
but in WCW, he went by Hack, which is his real life nickname. Everyone calls him Hack, not Jim. So I think this is the first Hack figure we've gotten, at least the first under the WWE Legends bubble that he's now under. But it is interesting. I'd be curious whether or not he came with a shirt, because if I remember correctly, when he came out in WCW, he was wearing the shirt with the barbed wire wrapped around himself. Um, but
That is correct.
but the 3D image, I think it's a great likeness, and it is kind of funny to me, as we've shown in previous episodes. Sandman's getting a lot of figures. Zombie Seller made one,
It's very
and
true.
he has a couple, and he's got a couple WWE ones on the way.
Well, I mean, and it cracks me up. And this is no knock on the Sandman, but look, if you wanted a Sandman figure, Sans Zubaz pants, you can
Mm-hmm.
get them in leather. In this one,
Yes.
I had to say that just because it cracked myself up.
Yeah. Yep.
But let's move on to another one. Oddity Golga, the oddities.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I've talked about the oddities a lot lately this week, weirdly. It's Halloween season.
Okay.
It's Halloween season.
Yes.
But this is as good of an oddity figure as you could ask for. The t-shirt, everything, the mask, it's a crack up.
When you think
it's such a time and place figure, though.
The weird part is when you think about it, and when the oddities were big in the late 90s, the only one that I could recall that actually had a figure was Kurgan. None of the other oddities ever had a figure.
That is correct. Kurgan did have a figure.
The giant
Claw.
Silva, giant.
He went
Yes.
full Von Erich.
Yes. Giant Silva didn't have one. This is a Golga, which you can't just buy the Golga. He's a build-a-figure. The oddities, coming out to the Insane Clown Posse music. The Oddity Freak Show, whatever you want to call it. It is definitely this is geared towards the late 90s Attitude Era fan that would recognize and go, I know who Golga is. Most kids today probably don't know who Golga is, and it's probably why they did him as a build-a-figure, as opposed to him just being a peg warmer. But I do think it's kind of cool that they have a Golga.
I think it's great that they made the figure.
Yes.
I'm with you there, 100%. Yep. Okay, let's move on to our next one.
Oh, yeah.
Jade Cargill isn't all elite, but she's elite when it comes to Mattel right now. Really great figure. It's a really great figure. It looks identical. The scan is perfect. The gear is perfect. The jacket is awesome. I'm all over this one.
Yeah, this is one of those ones. Again, a lot of the ones we're showing are 3D scans. Hopefully, the actual figures look as good as the 3D images. I do wonder whether or not there is a bit of an irony or an intentional thing there that her first figure that they made was in the Elite line as a jab. I don't know, and I'm not speculating, but it is kind of ironic that they did that. I do think it's a great looking figure. They got the extra hands, which I think that's how you would pose her, like with the jacket, with the hands, the entrance. I would agree. She has such an aura as a superstar. Like you don't have to know wrestling. If you see her, you immediately go, she's got to be somebody. Whether an actress, an athlete, whatever.
Oh, it's so true. You just an absolute star, born a star.
When she walks in a room, you know she's somebody. Yeah. And that's not something you could ever teach. You either have that or you don't. And Jade has that.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Let's move on to this next one. And before we do, and while we do, I have to shout out Drizzy and Chad for this. Chase U has been figured. I love it.
Yes.
We've got Andre Chase, we've got Duke Hudson, we've got Thea Hale. And yes, I love it. The U, we talk about him every Tuesday night. they're as fun as could be. I'm just glad they got their first figures, and I think they look great. Yes, they're basics, but it's just awesome.
It's a great 3-pack. Like if you're going to do it, doing them as a 3-pack, and you can kind of do. I don't know what the packaging is going to look like, but I think you could have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah,
If you really did it, but I think it's great. And it's one of those things that, on a side note, besides the figures, I am stunned they have not sold sweaters or sweatshirts with the logo. Like it seems that like WWE is usually on top of these things, and I'm very surprised they have not
you would
ventured
think
into that.
we're looking at a V-neck or a crew neck at least
Yeah,
in the
so,
cards, maybe even a quarter zip.
yeah.
Depends on who's asking. But I'm with you on the sweaters. That is a stone left unturned without question. Let's move on to another figure though here.
Yep.
This is interesting to me. So we've got Tama Tonga and we've got Jacob Fatu. Conspicuous by his accent or his absence.
Yeah.
Tongaloa.
Yeah, this I crack up with that they just completely bypassed Tonkaloa. Jacob came in after. Jacob's got the scan. I find there's such an irony there, and you could easily go, oh well, the day they had to be scanned, Tongaloa botched the appointment and missed it. Like you could easily make jokes like that, but like it's kind of funny where it's like, in all seriousness, and I don't do burials, especially on this. I don't do it on sold. But honestly, I don't think Tongaloa would sell. I feel like Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu have a greater chance of selling. But I'm very curious what the figures are going to look like. Again, these are just prototypes, so we don't know what the final end product is going to look like, but I am very much looking forward to it just based on this initial scan.
Absolutely. And I'm with you. I just found it hilarious there.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's move on to the next one though, because hopefully you do see this before Halloween Havoc. Not the Halloween holiday, but Havoc.
Yes.
Because obviously we've got the challenger. All ego, not some ego. Ethan Page and his first prototype figure.
Yeah.
Here from San Diego Comic-Con. Anthony, talk to me about this for a minute.
I've been following Ethan for a long time from his Evolve days, and I've been a big fan. And I've told Clark privately, this is before he went to AEW. This is before all that. I said to him, I was like, dude, you need this guy something. And when you look at it, like how fast he won the NXT championship, no one's won it any quicker. I believe this is the fastest any figure that's been prototyped. When you look at it, he was in AEW for years. He didn't get his figure till just before he left the company. So it's very cool. I can't wait to see it. I know when he did an interview at the time, he was NXT champion when he was interviewed, and he said he really wanted the figure to come with the belt, and he was going to try to talk to people. Mattel, he goes, not that I have much pull. I just joined the company. He goes, but I'm trying to get the belt to come with the figure.
That would be so cool. It'd be really cool if the belt came with the figure. I don't think he regains it this weekend on Sunday. I really don't.
It's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so we'll find out. I mean, obviously, this will probably air after Halloween Havoc.
No, I think maybe this one we might get him.
I believe we have the one we recorded last week. I think we go first, which is the first San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh no, we'll flip the order. Release this one first. It's
all right. Okay. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to, just like the other two that we talked about, because obviously this is in prototype form, to see the final version of it.
Absolutely. I am with you. Cannot wait to see it. And so far it does look like a great scan. Let's get on to a really interesting figure here.
Yes.
CM Punk kissing goodbye to the WWE, taking their title away. Post pipe bomb at the iconic 2011 Money in the Bank pay-per-view after he defeats Cena. A Chicago crowd hotly behind him in his Chicago trunks and his Chicago boots. Anthony, this figure's pretty dang golden.
Listen, it would not be sold separately and us covering Punk for me not to turn around and go, I have this one on pre-order, which has become like almost a tagline at this point. But this is one that years ago there was an elite of it. Never the Kiss. That's brand new. A lot of people want that figure, the elite one, couldn't get it. The surge pricing and all that secondary market for it. This is so iconic. The Kiss that he's blowing to "He Who Shall Not Be Named." And it's just an iconic look, an iconic moment in Punk's career. Not to drag this out, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, Clark. Were you at this show?
I was not at this show.
Okay.
I would have loved to have been at this one, but I was not at the time at this show. I did watch it and was stoked about it. I mean, just it was incredible. It was awesome. The crowd was right there. It was as organic of a wrestling moment as you could ask for.
Everyone thought this was Punk's last match. His contract was expiring. He delivered the pipe bomb, said he was done. And so no one expected him to walk out with the belt. Then when he won the belt, everyone went, he must have resigned. Obviously he did. And he would leave the company 3 years later.
I will say the base scan isn't perfect.
I mean, I think it's close enough because you think about it with him blowing the kiss. It's after he wrestled the match. So his hair is messed up. That would be expected.
I like some of the less kissing ones better for accuracy.
I don't know about the yelling one, but the smirk one I think is spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think the smirk one is 100% on, but I'm very curious. I'm very much looking forward to getting that one in hand. And I think that is the ideal pose. It's got to be the kiss.
I would agree. Yeah, no, it's really well posed. And I love the idea you get the big old spinner belt.
Yeah.
Shout out Soul. We can't not say his name when you
literally the worst version of the title. Yes, I said it. I said it.
I'm with you. I do think it's kind of funny in this picture, and I don't think it'll be that way, but it does look like the W is gold also.
Yes, it is, which I think is a mistake. I don't know. I think I do have a Cena with the belt. I'd have to look.
I think I had one back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gold on that one too. I have to look.
I was still at least in middle school when the spinner debuted. But I do also think that this brings us to the end of the show, Anthony.
Yes, it does.
We appreciate it. Keep tuning in to Sold Separately. That is our episode when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con, and have a great day.